Are y'all ready for this one? Major Australian bank to end cash withdrawals from its branches as the end of paper notes looms. The central bank digital currency is coming. They will know everything you buy, everyone you interact with, and there is nothing you can do about it. Maybe. Even with Bitcoin, they can track what you do. Here's the story. One of Australia's biggest banks has confirmed that some of its branches will no longer allow customers to withdraw money over the counter. ANZ Bank is stripping back some of its services, with certain branches no longer carrying physical cash. Instead, customers will be directed to ATMs if they wish to withdraw money, even though these machines are also being cut down across the country. It is happening. My suggestion? You want to have some cash on hand. I would say that the US dollar is not particularly valuable at this point, and I'm actually quite worried about holding some. So me personally, I'm not going to give you any advice. You having cash is your own cash. Having it physically, that's on you. I won't give you investment or financial advice. I'll tell you this. I am buying Bitcoin. Not that I think it's an end-all be-all. I've also got physical gold and silver and cash. But I think holding US dollars is a really, really bad idea because inflation is getting worse. So me personally, I will be hedging that bet. They go on to say, customers will be directed to ATMs. ANZ said that only 8% of its customers rely on banks for their money as more and more Australians switch to internet banking. However, critics have warned this could cause significant harm to older people and those with disabilities who still rely on physical cash. But this is how they make the changes. They do it slow. Old people die. They make it harder for younger people, accessible for older people. And when the older people die off, they will get rid of it all. You will be using a central bank digital currency. There will likely be, the theory right now is there'll be a banking collapse. And then when your bank collapses, because we're seeing all of these banking collapses in the United States, they'll say, your money is safe. You can get it. Just download Fed app. Enter your information to log in, and you will get access to your dollars. Now, we've replaced your dollars with central bank digital currency known as Fed coin. And they'll call it USD coin or something like that. I think there already is one, but they'll call it something like that. And they'll say it's the same thing as your normal money. It's right there and available, and it can only be accessed through this app. Don't worry, we saved you. That's how they'll phrase it. They say the number of bank branches in Australia has fallen by about 30% in the last 5 years, a trend that has been mirrored across the world. And ATMs have decreased even more, with figures showing that they have fallen from a high of 14,000 in 2017 to around 6,000 as of last year. On Wednesday, it was revealed that cash transactions are dying in Australia, with just 13% of purchases now using banknotes or coins. Tap and go cards, mobile payments, and direct online transfers make up the rest of all transactions, with the share of cash purchases halving in just 3 years. The Reserve Bank estimated just 13% of transactions in late 2022 were in cash, a halving in just 3 years since the start of the pandemic. Contactless tap and go payments, where customers use their mobile smartphone, made up a third of transactions, with younger consumers more likely to pay this way. We've also seen another funny video where a woman walks into, I think it's a Whole Foods, I'm not sure, and she scans her hand, inputs her credit card, and then it links the credit card with her handprint. And when she goes to check out, she scans her hand. Welcome to the future, ladies and gentlemen. And they will shut this stuff off. They can already shut off your credit card. They can already freeze your bank account. But they can't stop you from spending money in cash. And they can't snap their fingers and tell everyone, don't accept cash from this person. But if you get rid of cash, they will ice you out. And if you have a bad social credit score, you won't be able to buy food anymore because your CBDC has shut down. That's the future they have in store for you. ANZ Royal Bank. Cybersecurity expert Ben Britton, who works as chief information security officer, said a cyber attack could stop the major banks from conducting electronic transactions linked to their EFT POS terminals. That entire system is dependent on an internet connection to work. So if there's any interruption in the internet connection, the people will not be able to make any payment, he told Daily Mail Australia. If there was a major cyber attack, if there was a vulnerability within the terminal and it was exploited, then they could potentially shut down every terminal in the entire country. This could occur if hackers figured out how to exploit a banking computer code. Let me tell you a story, my friends. I remember a couple of years ago, It happens periodically, but a couple years ago, I went to, I think it was like a cafe, and they said, our internet is down and we can't accept credit cards. And I went, I don't have any cash on me. And they were like, sorry, cash only. You can maybe go find an ATM. And I was like, I guess I'll go somewhere else. We're opening a coffee shop in West Virginia. Become a member at timcast.com and check out castbrew.com if you want to buy our coffee. Pre-orders are available today. We'll ship by May 5th. Could be earlier, but I believe May 5th is the date. And you can get our Rise with Roberto Jr. We're launching a coffee shop. We've had a conversation about cash. And we said, initially, like maybe because of the strain, we just want to do a cashless terminal. And the immediate reaction from everybody was, you have to take cash. You have to. Because if we start walking down this path of saying, you know what, it's easier not to take cash, you don't get robbed, and it's harder to do bank drops, we're playing right into their hands. Cash is important. The ability to trade person to person. If we keep pushing towards a digital reality, we will be under the boot of a centralized hub. And we're still, excuse me, it could come to the point where it's an AI. Where you simply have an algorithmic AI that decides you should not be allowed to buy. I suppose there is one net positive. Imagine this. A morbidly obese person waddles their way into a McDonald's and says, I'd like to buy 5 Big Macs. And then they go, okay, that'll be 25, 37. Well, at that point, it'll be like 57, 89, sir. And then boop, boop, I can't buy it. And then the computer says, you're too fat. You can't eat any more food. Calm down. Go home. I'm half kidding, by the way. As much as I'm not thrilled with the morbid obesity of America, the idea of telling people what they can and can't have, curtailing the rights of the healthy because of the unhealthy doesn't seem to make sense. I don't have all the solutions, and I don't know. All I know is it's happening. This is the news right here. So there are a bunch of alternatives that people are talking about, cryptocurrencies, so that you can be off of their central bank digital currency, but that's still digital currency. If you're using Bitcoin, which I think is fantastic, and I have some, you still need the internet. Now, theoretically, there are offline ways to transfer Bitcoin. You could put it on a drive. You could give someone the drive. You could verify the amount of coin, that Bitcoin that's on it, and then physically hand it to somebody, things like that. Theoretically, you could do an RFID physical Bitcoin that contains the information, but you still basically need the internet to verify the transaction on the blockchain. So I'm not convinced that Bitcoin is the absolute solution. I think hard currency might be it. But you know what? Doesn't matter if it's the dollar or the Australian dollar. The central banks control the value essentially, and they can print whatever they want. So maybe then the only solution is physical gold and silver. And of course, I'm saying this understanding that physical gold and silver only have value so long as the system exists. In which case, me personally, because I'm not going to give you advice, I have emergency food, emergency water. I have weapons. It's going to be if the system really does collapse. What's going to have value? Bullets. It's a scary thought. I don't know if you guys have ever played the game Fallout 3 or Fallout for that matter. They trade in bottle caps. Bottle caps become currency. And I'm like, it's a funny thought. But why would it be? Why would bottle caps become currency? I guess it's just something of value. You can scrounge around and find some, and it's scarce enough, but discoverable. And so it's a representation of value between people. They're willing to accept bottle caps. Whatever. Bottle caps, a funny thought, huh? Because they're almost like coins. Why would it not just be bullets? Something someone could actually use. I guess because, I don't know, it's fantasy. But the reality is, I think a bullet would have a universal use. It's small enough, it's lightweight enough, and it has a function and a purpose. Meaning that no matter what it is you're trying to trade for or trade, whether it's bullets or otherwise, someone else is going to want that thing. Food spoils. Water can become stagnant. But weapons, especially ammunition. I don't see gold or silver being valuable beyond a collapse because they don't do anything. So you will have something of value, like maybe you have a press to make bullets, to make ammo, but you're not going to hand that to somebody. I mean, you can trade something now. You can trade a washing machine for a lawnmower. Who knows? But in the immediate, to hand someone something. So the joke I had, we were thinking about doing a bit, is someone like ordering a pizza And then they're like, that'll be X grain, sir. Like, oh, okay, I'll pull out 250 BMG. Can you make change for 50 BMG? Yes. Then he hands him the 50 BMG and the guy pulls out some 9mm and some 5.56 and hands him change back. I don't know if that will ever be the case. However, I can tell you this right now. They're getting rid of cash, and you won't be able to buy things off of their grid. Pay attention. Next segment's coming up at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.